Being great at sales is essential to your business and your career, but you and I both know that the stress of selling and dealing with constant rejection can be an emotional drain. My entire brand, No BS Selling, is based on the belief that professional sales is a skill and not a personality, and that to be better at sales takes constant refinement and a dedication to your craft. This show is for salespeople and entrepreneurs who are committed to improving their sales skills and getting better results, and are sick and tired of the BS game that often happens between buyers and sellers. Welcome to the No BS Sales Podcast, and I'm your host, Walker McKay. I'll help you and your sales team make selling easier, feel less cheesy, and be more lucrative. It's time to change the rules and level the playing field between you and the people you sell to. You're already good. Let's be better. Welcome to the BS Sales Podcast. I'm your host, Walker McKay. I am super excited today to have Tracie Broom and Debi Schadel, who are the co-founding partners of a firm called Flock and Rally, which is a full-service marketing and advertising and branding agency based in Columbia, South Carolina. I met these ladies about 10 years ago, and they are really creative, inventive entrepreneurs, and they're fun as hell, and they built a great business. And I brought them on the show today because I thought you guys might want to know how to hire the right ad agency. How do you hire the right one? So that's what we're going to talk about today, among other things. So welcome to the show, Tracie and Debi.
Thanks for having us.
So glad you guys are here. I think you have a really cool story. I'm going to start with you, Tracie. I think you have a really cool story about how you started your business. Could you mind take a minute and kind of start it off there and tell me how y'all met and kind of what your inspiration was?
Yeah. About 10 years ago, we were both serving a roster of freelance clients. We had mutual friends. I had just moved back to Columbia, and Debi had been in the Columbia, South Carolina market for, 10 years at that point. Mm-hmm. So we started working together on a variety of projects, from online content marketing and social media to event planning, et cetera, and really grew our client base and our repertoire as an agency over the years. And
you guys, 10 years ago, I remember going to a how-to social media event when that was, like when people are just getting their arms around how to use this stuff, and y'all have been kind of on the front end of that. Was it just because y'all were the cool kids? How'd you figure that stuff out? Debi, how'd you figure that stuff out?
Well, I have to tell you, I didn't figure that stuff out, which is why I called Tracie. Tracie was spending her time in San Francisco, which is about 7 years ahead of the whole rest of the country and their tech capabilities, especially during that time. And, while I was doing a lot of marketing and grassroots marketing, public relations, and community marketing locally, I was asked to work on a blog for someone. And this is how long ago this was. I didn't know Blogger. You don't remember Blogger?
Is that a program or a person?
It's a platform.
Okay, got it.
It's old as the hills.
Right, got it, okay.
And, I was like, oh, who's the most technologically advanced person I know in Columbia?
And a partnership.
Oh, it's Tracie.
And a partnership. Tracie, what brought you back to Columbia? San Francisco must be such a place that drew you out there. What brought you back there?
Yeah, it was a special place. I had the opportunity to move back here to Columbia and spend time with family, which was very hard to do, living 3,000 miles away. Yep. And I had already lived in the San Francisco market for 12 years. So I felt like I had enough experiences as a young professional in San Francisco that I didn't want to miss out on experiencing my home as an adult.
Cool. I love that.
Maybe getting to be a part of something here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it was a wonderful opportunity.
It's really cool. And so y'all started just kind of as an informal collaboration.
Yeah.
And when did you know you had a company?
Definitely by fall 2011, because that's when we got our LLC.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I tell you, there was a couple key moments in our relationship that I think are fun stories. The first was that we were kind of just doing work together, getting a lot done, just working together really well. And then someone wanted to write about us for a local magazine. And we didn't have a name. We didn't have a website. We didn't have anything. And we had to do that in how long, Tracie? Like 5 days, 3 days?
Yeah, our photographer, Molly Harrell, who's very talented, she's shooting our photo out on location by some really cool train tracks. And she's like, you realize that there's going to be an article about you in a magazine. And you have about 2 weeks to come up with a name and a website so that you can enjoy the traffic that results from the article that's going to be published. And we had just been so busy, you know, trying to work on stuff for our clients. We hadn't even thought about ourselves yet. So
This is the cobbler's son. The cobbler's son has no shoes thing.
Well, yes. The irony is that there's no way we would recommend to anyone that they're in a magazine without having a website and a name.
We basically would not allow it. Like if our clients wanted to do that, we'd say, okay, we need to reset.
Well, at least you can say we've done it the wrong way, and we know this is not the right way to do it, right?
That's true.
What does flock and rally mean?
Well, you know, a flock of people.
Yeah.
People flock together for various purposes. You can rally people around an idea or a business. We just felt like they're verbs. Flock and rally are both verbs. They're also both nouns, and they tell a story of how we want people to behave.
I love that. I mean, it's cool. And so did one of you guys just go flock and rally, or was that a deliberative process that came up with it?
The magic behind the curtain. The magic behind the curtain.
So when I was out in San Francisco, one of my buddies was a copywriter for a really couple fancy ad agencies. This is while I was freelancing, writing travel guide content and fun stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I've got this naming project. I've got to name a product for Pepsi. And I'm like, that's amazing. I want to do that. So by the time we had the company, we'd done a couple of naming projects, and we realized we had to do a naming project for ourselves. So there's a process. A lot of synonyms and beer are involved.
Yeah, of course. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just kind of came up in your naming process. It just was a thing. What was the second name that didn't get voted in?
Ooh. Do you remember?
Schadel and Broom LLC corporate. No, we didn't.
People couldn't spell.
No, that one did not make it to the top of the pile. I think that we just we knew we wanted to be something and something. We thought that lended a little bit of youthfulness to our company, which we knew we were.
Yep.
And I don't know if we actually had another contender, Tracie. I think we just worked towards this one.
It really it came out at the page. I looked at the page and I was like, that's it.
Yep. It was there.
Yeah.
Got it. That's cool as hell. I love that. It's amazing how things happen, right, in the creative process.
I know.
Yeah.
So one of the things we've talked about, you and I, we've kind of discussed together is how does somebody pick an advertising agency? Because at some point, a company gets to a certain size or a certain need where they've got to pick it's too big to handle in-house, or they get to that size where we can't have our own in-house advertising, but we need to have an outside firm. Mm-hmm. So what I'd love to talk to you guys about today are tell me some things that people need to know about picking an advertising agency. Can you help me there? What's the first thing, if somebody's looking for one, what's the number one thing they have to do to know it's the right fit or see if it's the right fit?
Well, I want to back up and answer your question about when they know it's time.
Ooh, good, great.
Because I think that bleeds into this, because what we find with a lot of our companies that we work with is that a lot of the work that they've been doing towards marketing their company has been piecemeal.
Yep.
So they may have a website, they may get these calls from ad reps, which can be pretty heavy all the time. And so sometimes they buy an ad, they don't really know how it fits into their overall plan. They're just like, oh, this full page in this magazine that my cousin reads is a great place for me to go.
Let's throw $200 here, $200 there, whatever.
Yeah, let's throw it at the wall, see if it sticks. You know, we've got somebody doing our social media. We haven't really guided them. They're just, we knew we needed to be out there doing social. So they're doing all these pieces. And what they're starting to discover is that they need a bigger plan, right? And they need to want to make sure they want their plan to be working. And so there comes a point where I think people are like, I really want to do this with more intention. Either they have the resources to do it with more intention, or they have the time to do it with more intention, or the drive, you know. So,
or maybe they realize they're spending whatever it is, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 grand a month, and they got no freaking plan, got no freaking idea, and don't have any way to measure the shit that they're doing. Right?
Yeah. And it's sort of maybe built up that way over a few years, and suddenly they're spending a lot of money in an uncoordinated way. So when someone's ready to get coordinated, that's one of the points at which they will reach out to try and find an agency third partner.
Tell me something. Is it just been my experience when people begin with social media, they often find the youngest person in the office or whatever.
Oh, you're online.
Yeah. Oh, my daughter does our Facebook stuff, or we're on blah, blah, but either it's just a vomit of information, or it's not hitting the right target. How do you convince people to let go of the reins of their own social media, especially when it's a family member?
It's a great question, Walker.
That's a great question,
Debi.
Walker. Well, I would say that we still encourage the business to be involved in their social media. So, you know, we a lot of times take a two-pronged approach where an outside agency can work on curated content for them and, you know, how it bleeds into their entire marketing plan. But then you might still have the inside people answering questions, answering the DMs, you know, maybe
direct messages for you.
Direct messages.
Like me, right?
So I think that's a good way, is that we're not saying give up your social media. We're saying let's help build this together.
Right.
And then sometimes businesses choose to just let us take it all over. And then sometimes they're still like, yeah, I like answering these questions and going out and being part of the community. So it works both ways. You know, we're really flexible with the way we work with our businesses on their social media accounts.
Part of it too, right, is what you guys do is to create a strategy of why. You know, why are we doing social media? And then how do we deliver our message, whatever that is? And so I know that's something you guys work a lot with companies on, is figuring out their message. Do y'all have some kind of a discovery process for that? How do you do that? And how would you recommend that if someone were to say, I'm not ready for an ad agency yet, but I still need to discover my message? How in the hell does somebody do that?
Well, we ask a series of questions during our discovery process that are really geared toward pulling out that deep understanding of, a lot of these clients already understand what their message should be, who their target audiences are, what their vision is, what their mission is, you know, goals, objectives, all this, they've got it. They just don't have it all written down in one place. So if we can come in and in an organized way, interview them about their goals, objectives, audiences, you know, current tactics, things that have worked, things that have not worked, brand materials that they've already got in play that they like, brand materials they don't like, that they want to replace or upgrade. You know, how's your website working?
So when you ask that question, I mean, don't you have this issue like I do, that a lot of people don't know what good looks like? They only know what they've been doing. When you say, how's your website working? People are like, shit, I don't know. And how do you tactfully help people figure out your website sucks and it's not serving you well? And how do you do that? Because sometimes it's calling their baby ugly. How do you do that? Debbie, how do you do that?
I just did this actually with a client the other day. So it's fresh on my brain. We do a lot of things from an audience forward way.
What does that mean?
So we do things with the audience in mind first and what they need from your product or your services. So first, when we're getting the audience, like Tracie said, you've got to apply it to everything, all your outreach channels. So the website, for example, you want to think about every audience member and what are the top 3 things you want them to know on the homepage. What is their call to action? What do they want to know when they go to your website? So we ask all these questions, and it's about what their audience wants. Does their audience really want, the whole board on the homepage of their website? Maybe they do. Maybe it's a government agency.
Who are you asking these questions to? I mean, are you asking it of the business owner? Because I would bet 90% of the time they don't freaking know.
The more you ask, the more they know. A lot of times businesses will say, "Oh, I don't know those answers. I really have no idea." And then you start asking them, and you're like, exactly. You know your business.
Yeah.
We're just here to enhance and pull out those answers from you.
Got it.
Mm-hmm. And if they don't know the answers, then during discovery, we get to put giant stars next to the items where they need our help filling in that blank.
Got it.
And that's where our copywriting services come in. That's where our design services come in and our creative services come in. So if you don't have it, you need it, we'll help you create it. And then we just get a full plan together and roll forward.
Tell me the last time, and I'll go to Tracie this time. Tell me the last time you guys took on a client and then you got through the discovery meeting or the first couple of meetings and all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, we screwed up. We never should have let these people in the door. You don't have to name names, but can you tell me about a time like that? Has that ever happened?
Well, I mean, it has certainly happened. Absolutely. And, honesty is always the best policy.
Honesty is, of course it is, right? So tell me how you handled it?
Well, you can get to a point in a process.
Oh, no. I want the story. Tell me what happened. Don't give me this bullshit generic stuff. I want to know the story. What happened and how'd you handle it?
We have we're about to sign a contract with a potential new client. They have said yes. Mm-hmm. And they keep not returning the contract. They keep not returning the contract. And we understand they're a small business owner. They're super busy. Marketing cannot always be your top priority. So we are very accustomed to having a conversation of, it's okay. We will still be here in 3 months after you get this, and this handled, right? Yep. Anyway, so it gets to the point where you just have to reach back. We've had to reach back out and say, hi, so it seems like you're just not in a place where you can move forward on the plan that we were talking about. And that is totally fine. And it turns out, I think, that we're not the right fit for you right now. And that's okay. Yep. So we'll be here when you are ready. Good luck.
Did they ever come back or their business fold?
They're fine.
Okay.
We'll see. If they come back, we'd love to talk to them.
Right. So one of the things I loved about what you did there was that you were able to tell the truth, and you also helped the people feeling okay about themselves. A lot of times when people go into these situations and we're all nervous or whatever else, and so our energy takes us to something along the lines of, you're bad, right? And so we make them feel not okay with themselves. But what you just said was, hey, look, sounds like we're not, it's the same thing I teach my clients, right? Sounds like this can't be the top priority for you right now. Sounds like you got something else you have to do first. It's completely okay. I'm going to close your file for now. If it ever comes up that you need our help and you're ready to go, pick up the phone and call us. We can discuss it then, as opposed to, damn you for not signing the contract. We're out of here. We're busy or whatever. So I admire you for that. That's maturity. You were going to say something, Debbie. What were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say that the reason it's hard for Tracie and I to find the right stories to tell about that is because we've gotten really good at asking the right questions before we get to the contract stage. And when you can ask the right questions about
put you on the spot. What are the right?
Yeah, sure.
What are the right questions? What are the things that you have to know?
Well, we like people to have a business plan.
Okay.
That's helpful.
Yep.
We like people to understand marketing and understand what they're getting into.
So what are they getting into?
Well, it's not. We try to let people know that you can't just walk away when you hire a marketing agency. It's a very collaborative process.
That's not when you're done. That's when you get started, right?
Yeah, and it can be a time suck for people. Like Tracie said, it can be a lot for people. And, we want to make sure we're working with people that understand kind of what they're getting into.
So how do you make them understand that? How do you let them know in a way? How do you manage their expectations, Tracie? How do you do that?
Well, we've gotten really, really tight with some of our internal processes when it comes to how we talk about our services to potential new clients and what we'll put in a proposal to explain our process. And
so you think people read that shit?
Yeah. And then once we start a project, we're taking what was in the proposal and creating a brief that outlines, the goals, the objectives, the target audiences, the strategy, the project team, that kind of thing. And we go over that with the client along with the detailed scope of work after they've signed the contract, but before we start work, to make sure nothing's changed, because my goodness, things will change so quickly. And then
it's amazing.
Suddenly it turns out the campaign they wanted you to do has to be put on hold, and then they have a whole new campaign they want you to work on, which is great, totally fine. But that just happened with a client where they had to completely change course on a project that they were going to bring us on for, but we've been helping them with something completely different, and it's been great.
When you go out to find new clients, I know most of your business comes from referrals, but when you go out to find new clients, what's your process for doing that? How do you find new clients other than referrals? Debbie, how do you do that?
Well, we do answer some RFPs.
Okay.
They're mostly sent to us. We do partner with some people, or.
How do you choose which ones you're going to go after?
Great question.
That's a great question.
Is there any process you go through and say, we'll follow RFPs, but only if they've got this kind of thing? Or are there some that you say, no, we're not responding to? And then how do you choose? Because I know a lot of people, there's a real weird balance there between, oh shit, we better answer every one, to we don't know how to do this.
We don't answer a lot. We need to make sure that our capacity is there with our staff. We need to make sure that it's the kind of work that we can do and that we want to do, really. And I think we're really okay with saying there's some things that aren't really what we want to go after. I mean, we can do them, but it's not really the right fit for us right now. So
I love that. I mean, that to me, again, is business maturity, is understanding you're not the right fit for everybody. And that by taking everyone as a client, you end up screwing everybody. You hurt yourself and you hurt your brand, and you end up not being able to do work for anybody.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask each of you one piece of advice. I'm going to ask each of you, tell me one thing that people need to know before they pick an advertising agency. I'm going to go Debbie, and then I'm going to go to Tracie. What's one thing that people need to know before they pick a firm?
You mean, let me just clarify. You mean about what one thing people need to know about themselves,
or how about
their business?
How about the most important thing people need to know about the firm they're hiring? What should be their criteria?
Relevant past experience in a similar industry.
Okay, so that's a big deal, is that they've worked with other companies or with similar companies in similar space.
Yes.
Okay, how about you, Tracie?
And on top of that, and sort of woven with that, relevant past experience with a similar type of scope of work. So the industry setting may be different, but the
Mm-hmm.
work itself was that tactically fairly similar.
Okay.
You know, we work in everything from media relations, which is getting earned media, getting press to cover our clients, to traditional ad buys, billboards, TV ads, radio ads, print ads, to digital advertising, where we place digital ad buys and do the creative to create all these digital ads.
Yeah.
You know, we'll advise on email marketing solutions. We'll advise on the way that your users flow through your website and find what they need. Social media, of course.
Yeah.
And,
You know, it's interesting. I believe you that experience is important. I think in a lot of ways. I work with a lot of companies. Interestingly enough, the reason they hire me is because I don't have experience in the industry and I've never worked with their company, because I bring a fresh set of eyes to it and say, why are you doing that? Is there value to that in advertising, or is that not the same?
yeah.
Yeah, no, I think, go ahead, Tracie.
There's just a lot of times we'll be interviewing a new client about what they do, and it's really fun to find ways to ask them questions, to get them talking about what they do from another point of view.
Yeah,
They're, you know, it's very easy to just be within your point of view, in your own shoes, and what you see is the realm as it is. But actually, there are all these other perspectives on your business.
Yep.
You need to be able to open up and put yourself in a lot of different shoes.
Guys, this has been so much fun. How would somebody reach out to you? How would they find you if they wanted to talk to you, or you know, find out more about about Flock and Rally, or about get your advice about something? How would they find you?
Our website, flockandrally.com. Flock like a flock of birds, rally like a pep rally.
R-A-L-L-Y, right? And is it A-N-D, Flock and Rally? Not an ampersand on the website.
And we're on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all those good things.
Under Flock and Rally, same.
Yep.
Okay, great. Well, I finish up with a way, and I've trapped you with this question, so you're not prepared for this, but I'm going to start with you, Debbie, and Tracie, you'll have an advantage because you'll hear the question. So, Debbie, put you on the spot. What's the kindest thing anyone's ever done for you?
Okay. It wasn't just for me. It was for a group of people, but I will never, ever forget it. I was in San Francisco, no less, Tracie.
Yeah.
And I was walking by a building that said free dinners. Just have a free community dinner. And I went in, and people took care of me. I sat down, they served me dinner, they cleaned up my plate. It was like, just like this community event. And I was like, do I pay you? Can I tip you? Can I do whatever? And they were just like, no, we are just doing this. And it was an act of service that this group had just decided to do for the community. And to receive something like that with I literally felt like no strings were attached at all.
Did you just walk by? Did you just walk by and there was a free dinner thing? You said, hey, I'll go try a free dinner, or what happened?
Well, I was with a friend that lived there. So they were, you know, somewhat familiar with it and said we should try this out, and we're walking by it. But not even a small, tiny psychological bit of what I want from you, or I'm trying to,
Awesome.
You know, I didn't even know who did it. Really, there was no advertising all over the place, nothing. I just thought that was so kind for them to do for their community.
Totally is. That's great. How about you, Tracie? Now that you've had plenty of time to think about it.
This is going to sound really corny.
Nope.
But actually, I think one of the kindest things anyone has ever done for me is, I'm sorry, it's so corny, but it's that Debbie reached out to me about starting a company together.
Wow. How about that?
I know, it's corny, but hear me out. I was just a sole proprietor, freelance writing and editing, and that was just what I was going to do. That was what I was going to be. And because Debbie had a vision, and she grabbed my hand and was like, come with me. I have this vision I'd like to show you.
Freaking awesome.
And it's changed my life. It's been really amazing. So I'm really, really enjoying being on this ride.
And, you know, through that, you guys have changed a lot of other people's lives too. You've really have helped, you live in Columbia, South Carolina, you've really helped this community and help build it and build pride in it and build organizations around it. And it's really freaking cool what you guys do. And it's been an honor to have you on the show.
Well, we appreciate you too.
That's cool. Well, No BS sales team, I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you've learned about some different things about choosing an advertising agency. If you want to get in touch with me, my email is walker@walkermckay.com. I will encourage you to get on my email list. If you want to get on the email list, I send out 2 emails a week. Everything from what's going on in the world to book lists to videos I'm doing, podcast episodes, and also kind of a take that I have on sales and business, kind of a personal take once a week. So if you want to get on that list, if you type the letters NOBS, no spaces, no BS, no spaces, to the number 66866, 66866, you'll get on my newsletter list, and you'll get a bunch of cool shit. And anyway, so I look forward to hearing from you guys. Thank you so much, Debi and Tracie. Y'all have been so much fun to have on the show, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Walker.
With Walker.
Very well.